You know how it is. You make these big plans. You have these expectations for how the important moments in your life are supposed to play out. But life, well, life has a funny way of not following the script. So today, we're going to dive into a few stories that just perfectly capture that hilarious, sometimes messy, but always memorable gap between what we plan for and what really, really happens.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Just picture it. It's the morning of a really big award ceremony. You're getting ready, you're probably a little tired, just kind of going through the motions. You pick up the clippers for a quick beard trim. I mean, what's the worst that could happen, right?
That right there is the sound of a plan going completely and utterly off the rails. It's that one little sinking feeling in your stomach when you realize a simple, sleepy mistake has just completely changed the course of a very, very important day. So what happened? Well, it was something so simple. The guard on the beard clippers, it just wasn't clicked in all the way. So he does one sleepy pass across his cheek and zip, there's just a perfect bald runway right through the middle of his beard. The reaction? Oh, you better believe it was pure panic. So what was the end result? Not, a distinguished guy ready to go get an award. Nope. In his own words, he looked like a bad supervillain. He had no choice but to shave the whole thing down to match, leaving him looking totally different just hours before he had to be up on a stage.
And look, this wasn't just any old Tuesday. This was the day he was being honored by his alma mater, the University of Georgia, as one of its 40 under 40. So, the stakes were pretty high. And now his face looked, well, not exactly award ready. And that whole expectation versus reality thing, it didn't stop with the beard, not by a long shot. He was expecting this small, kind of low-key lunch, maybe just for lawyers. What he got was a massive, university-wide gala. We're talking giant posters of his face, indoor hedges, yes really, and pretty much everyone else was decked out in the school's red and black colors. And this was no small potatoes award either. I mean, the other people getting honored were absolutely incredible. You had Georgia's youngest ever teacher of the year, a 3-time Olympic gold medalist swimmer. These were the best of the best from across the entire university. This was a really, really big deal. So you might be asking yourself, how does someone end up in a room like this, bad shave and all? Well, it turns out his application process was just as unconventional as the rest of the story. Okay. Get this. It's 1:30 in the morning. The application is due, right now. And he gets to the very last step. Upload your resume. Just one problem. He hasn't actually had a resume in 10 years. So what does he do? He opens a blank Word doc, types, "I have not had a resume in a decade," and then just drops a link to his YouTube channel. And you know what? It worked. It actually worked. And this whole authentic, almost hilariously honest way of getting a legitimate award, well, it's the complete opposite of a shady trend you see in a lot of industries, especially the legal world, these so-called pay-for-play awards. So what is a pay-for-play award, exactly? Well, it's pretty much just a marketing scheme that's dressed up to look like a real honor. Some company will create a best-of list. They send you an email saying, "Congratulations, you won." And then in the very next sentence, they try to sell you a $500 plaque to prove it. So how can you spot one of these fakes? You gotta look for the red flags. First, they ask for money right away, usually for a plaque or an ad. The nomination process is often just a bunch of people nominating each other back and forth. And the name of the award always sounds super official, like Top 100 Lawyers, but in reality, they give that award to thousands of people. There's no real judging going on. But here's the really tricky part. Even when you're a professional and you know these awards are total nonsense, you still feel this pressure to list them on your website. Why? Because you worry that a potential client is going to look at your competitor's site, see all these shiny logos, and think they're more credible. It's a really frustrating game to be stuck in. And this whole idea of our best laid plans going completely sideways, it definitely doesn't just happen at work. When a listener asked for some good travel hacks, what they got was less of a hack and more of a hilarious and very stressful cautionary tale. So, the plan was simple, right? Land in St. Thomas, grab the bags, get to the marina, and start an awesome boat trip in the British Virgin Islands. The reality? After a half-hour taxi ride, the sinking realization hits. They left a suitcase back at the airport. He had to stay behind by himself while the rest of his family went ahead to the boat. And his next day, it was a marathon of a ferry to the airport, back on a ferry, then a water taxi, just to finally get that bag to the boat. And of course, which suitcase did they forget? Oh, not just any bag. No, it was the baby suitcase, the one with
everything. The diapers, the formula, the wipes, the clothes. Literally the single most important piece of luggage for the entire family vacation. Of course it was. So, after all that chaos, what's the amazing, life-changing travel hack that came out of this whole ordeal? It's pretty simple, actually. When you land somewhere tropical and they greet you with a welcome rum punch and a steel drum band, definitely enjoy it. But maybe enjoy it after you've counted all your bags. Twice. So what's the real lesson in all of this? I think it's that life is just wonderfully, beautifully unscripted. Being your true, authentic self can be a secret superpower. And in the end, our mistakes, the bad shaves, the forgotten bags, they aren't just moments of chaos. They're what make the best stories, the ones we'll be telling for years and years. It really makes you think, doesn't it? Our perfect plans are fine, I guess, but those moments where everything goes wrong, that's where the real living seems to happen. So I'll leave you with this. What's your story? What's the best thing that ever happened to you that started out as a complete and total mistake?